Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of VGU Talks, and let's talk games. We're continuing our coverage of E3 2016 with another look at another conference. Which conference this time around? The Ubisoft conference, of course. And the Ubisoft press conference started off with Just Dance 2017, a bunch of people coming on stage in all sorts of different colourful outfits, and even giraffes and pandas, dancing to that of Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. Great choice of song, love it to pieces, and I am actually going to give Ubisoft credit for this one, simply due to the fact that they got Just Dance over and done with. They knew a lot of people weren't going to be too hyped if they spent too long on Just Dance, so they thought, okay, let's have a big opening stage number and let's get out of the way. Good job. Of course, Aisha Tyler returns this year. I don't know what you guys think. I personally like her as a host. I don't think she's too bad. She makes good jokes, she's good at hosting in general, she's genuinely hyped about anything and everything that she's able to talk about on the stage, and that's great. That's what you need in a host, and I believe in Aisha Tyler, so it was great to see her again. Fun stuff. The other fun thing about Just Dance 2017 is that it'll be coming to all platforms next year, including PC and the Nintendo NX. This is also a very special event because it also marks the 30th birthday of Ubisoft, which is incredible. I didn't even think it was 30 years of Ubisoft, but heck, great, fantastic job. So, with all that done, let's dive into some more games, starting off with Ghost Recon Wildlands. There was a cinematic trailer that showed off more story, and in all honesty, it just seems very Far Cry-esque. Now, this is an open world game, it's based in Bolivia and is around a drug cartel that's pretty much taken over the entire country. You play as the ghosts in 4-player co-op or solo, and you do what you want when you want to do it. In the gameplay that they showed, they were displaying how you can go about the, as they said, tactical extraction route, which pretty much made it so that you're coordinating with your teammates, being as stealthy as you possibly can leading up to the target, and then seeing what happens next. Throughout it, it was just banter from the people that were playing it, and it was just so forced. It was obviously fake. And here's the thing, players never call enemies tangos. They never call enemies that. They don't really go, hey look, that's a bad guy, shit, he caught me. They got that on camera perfectly. That was fine. But they never call enemies tangos. It was very forced, and I just genuinely hated that part of the commentary from the players. The game in itself just felt very underwhelming in my opinion. There was nothing that really struck out to me. The only thing that did is that when you have that shot of the player on the helicopter and you're seeing the world around you, the world looks freaking massive. And that's great. Like they said, this is the largest environment they've had to work with. It shows. This thing is huge. Too bad it feels too Far Cry for me. Way too Far Cry. Even to the extent of when you're scoping enemies out with your binocs, you can mark enemies as you're scooping them around or as you're going around with your little drone floating everywhere. It's just so underwhelming, and I love Ghost Recon. I love these games, and this is a game I'm going to miss because I just don't like it, but that's just me. It comes out on March 7th for the PS4, Xbox One and PC. I'm gonna hope it comes out better, but it's not for me. At this point, no. But guys, after this was probably the best part of this show. South Park, The Fractured Butthole, fell in love with everything they did about this. So first off, they revealed it by making you think it was something from The Division, and then completely switching it on its head and just going, no, it's South Park! Let's do it! The kids this time around are playing superhero after the events of the Stick of Truth, so you're still playing as the new kid, aka douchebag. And it leaves me as to wondering, because this is a carry-on story from the last one, whether you can possibly carry your saved data across so that you keep your new kid visuals. So if you made the new kid look as much like you or as much as a personalized character as possible, maybe being able to carry that across into the new game. Possibly, I'm not 100% sure whether that's going to be a function. Could be on the, at least on the PC version. So what's the trick? Well, it's civil war between the kids, as they can't agree on a movie franchise. So they've literally just split off and they've started a civil war, which is obviously a big jab at Marvel. And then we saw gameplay! I was not expecting gameplay from this, and I found it really hilarious how the new kid's back to being the douche, because you become the king at the end of the Stick of Truth, and they're like, "What are you doing down here? You're not dressed as a superhero, you're in the wrong room, get out, douchebag." That was brilliant. I love the comedy going into this. There's constant Marvel and DC jokes. They are making character sheets like out of Dungeons and Dragons, which I instantly relate with. It's brilliant. Instead of using Instagram, they use Coonstagram, which is just great. And 3 of the classes they did let us have a look at are known as Brutalist, Blaster, and Speedster. Now, what I'm guessing from this is the Brutalist is going to be like your Luke Cage, Hulk kind of stance where you're going to be doing your punches. And they tease later on in a trailer that you could be doing a JoJo or Fist of a North Star style, which would be really good. That feels great and it fits perfectly. There's the Blaster, which I'm guessing is going to be more like Iron Man, potentially Hawkeye, with how they're able to just blast people and be more of a ranged unit. And then we got the Speedster, who's like the Flash, who's like Quicksilver, running around everywhere doing more speed-based damage rather than all outright smash you in the face damage. And they all have their own unique abilities and their own movesets, which apparently you're able to mix and match between the classes. So you're able to probably start off as a Speedster, but that's only the base. Then you can create your own hero. That is an amazing idea to have in this game. I really enjoy that. Then they showed off how your backstory is created by Cartman and how it's completely interactable. So as Cartman is explaining your backstory, you're playing through it and you're experiencing what Cartman has created for your character. It's great. It's just full of fun stuff. But probably the biggest thing out of it was the update to the combat scenarios, because I did like the turn-based combat from Stick of Truth, but I thought it was just a little bit lackluster. It was very basic. So this time around, they've added in a system which kind of reminds me of Mega Man Battle Network, with how the grid system worked in that game. But instead of it being a action-based system where everything's happening in real time and you've got to time using your attacks while going around the grid and positioning yourself better behind environment and whatnot. The grid is the entire battle area of when you fight enemies. You can pretty much go anywhere, go behind enemies to get more damage on back attacks. You can push enemies into certain areas, push them into the environment, into other characters, doing damage along the way. Huge, outrageous superhero attacks, which I am definitely looking forward to. And the thing about this is that it's a turn-based system, so kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, with this character goes first, with this one, with this one, with this one. And then what ends up happening is, instead of using farts as like your magic this time around, you use farts as a way to manipulate the positioning in that time frame. So you can effectively make it so that at the end of your team's member's final turn, you can make it so that your entire team gets another turn before the enemy's turn comes in. That's awesome. There's a lot of mechanics going on here. I can't wait to see more of this. Fractured Butthole is coming December 6th of this year. A very cool series of trailers and gameplay. And get this! If you buy it, you buy the Fractured Butthole, you will get the Stick of Truth for free on Steam. Yo, guys, just go. And they also said if you pre-order it now, you will get Stick of Truth to play on Steam right now. So if you don't have Stick of Truth, you can jump straight in and get yourself ready. Fantastic. I think this is one of the best game reveals I've seen so far of E3. Well done, South Park and Ubisoft. Fantastic. And how did it continue from this? By shooting me in the face with Division, a game I've literally fallen out of love with. Pretty much kind of like what happened with Destiny. I just don't like it anymore. Very disappointed with how the expansions came out. Now, just bearing in mind, I was disappointed. I know a lot of people out there still love The Division, and if you do, fantastic. This entire section was for you. It just wasn't for me. So what did they reveal, Division-wise? Well, they talked more about the Underground DLC, which is coming out June 28th on the Xbox One and PC, and then August 2nd on the PS4. As well as that, because it is the 30th birthday of Ubisoft, they've made 3 outfits available on the Uplay store, which are based around Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six Siege, and Ghost Recon. Very good stuff, and they're completely free, by the way, if you have a Uplay account. So go nuts, go in there, get those outfits. They're free, why not? But as an added teaser, at the end of all that, they did reveal the Survival Expansion DLC with a full-on trailer. And they didn't go into much detail about this. The 2 things I mostly picked up were brutal weather conditions and limited supplies. So I'm guessing really powerful blizzards that are going to create very serious vision dampening fog. And then on top of that, as you're running around the place, you're going to be digging for weapons, digging for ammunition, digging for food and water to keep yourself alive whilst in this area. And then near the end, they had this new enemy show up, but I wasn't quite sure whether that was teasing towards a new enemy that's going to be in that area, or whether they're teasing a potential Dark Zone survival area. That would be really cool, adding in Dark Zone PvP elements into this new survival-based world. I'm hoping that's the case, and I'm hoping that for you Division guys out there. If it doesn't happen, I think they're missing something. I think they need to target that. At least try. You know, in my opinion, at least try. But that was the Division. Then we had an interesting VR game known as Eagle Flight. And you know what? I really like this. They showed off a PvP match that was happening live. It was a 3v3 PvP match known as Capture the Prey, which acts like Capture the Flag, and they were flying around Paris to get a rabbit, and they were going to bring that rabbit back to the nest, and whichever team brings it back to the nest first gets the point. And then the rabbit is reset in a random location in the area of which you're playing around in, which I thought was pretty cool. It has really fast-paced immersive flying action, so it just seems to be incredibly engaging from the perspective that you have of the VR headset, and that just looks great. I did find it curious is that you're shooting eagles with squawks. So you're literally going, ah! And it's like sonic boom into other eagles in order to literally blow them up in a bit. You're exploding eagles by going, ah! In their general direction. I have seen a couple of videos from people saying that they didn't quite like that and it was a little bit too arcadey shooty. I personally love it. I think it's so hilariously brilliant that I just want to see more of it. And the other cool thing about this, I can see this going into esports, because they seem to have a spectator mode set up for this, and they seem to have it set up so that you can easily turn this into a fun, really easy to get into esport where you can have dedicated teams running this. I would be interested in seeing an esport of this. I think that's a really big opening. Quite frankly, Eagle Flight, great VR game. I'm going to keep my eye out on that one. But that wasn't the only VR title. The other one was Star Trek. Star Trek Bridge Crew. Yes, I'm a Star Trek fan. Yes, I've been waiting for an experience where you are the captain or a part of like the starship crew on the bridge doing something to help out. It's literally the ultimate fanboy trailer. It has everything you need to convince you that this is the Star Trek experience you deserve. Quite frankly, I'm very impressed. It's co-op, 4 players, very team heavy. Plays the captain, a tactical engineer, an engineer in general, and a pilot. And it's coming out this fall on all VR systems. So that's Oculus, HTC Vive. Wow. Just wow. Then we move on to a game I've been interested in, but I haven't seen too much about. So I was waiting to see more. And it was For Honor. We had a multiplayer trailer last year, which was cool, but it made me convinced that it was going to be multiplayer only for the longest time. And this was a story trailer. This was single player. And it looked pretty interesting. So from what I got from the story, it's a cataclysmic event that happens, possibly Ragnarok? I'm thinking Ragnarok, but it wasn't hinted at. It could just be enter name of cataclysmic event here. And then basically with that event happening, all the nations are merged into one, creating the 1,000-year war between the Vikings, the samurai, and the knights. And then they revealed this big bad person who, even though these groups are fighting to find their version of peace, Apollyon, the bringer of war, harbinger of death, is causing them to constantly be at war with one another. And if any faction tries to show like compassion or signs of not wanting to fight anymore and create that level of peace, then this guy literally comes out of nowhere with his army and says, no, you will fight. This is a place where trust does not exist. You will kill, you will maim, you will destroy. That is an interesting story, and I'm interested to see how each of the 3 separate campaigns pan out as you gradually move on to fight Apollyon to discover your own form of peace. I like that idea. And then we saw gameplay! Again, another thing I wasn't expecting from For Honor. So we get the gameplay of the Viking. It's in third person. Really awesome, badass, axe-swinging, gigantic smash action. And it was great. And from the looks of things, you had 2 different kinds of enemies with you. You had the jobbers, as I like to call them, the guys that are meant to make you feel great when you just smash through them, slash them, and they just die in like 1 or 2 hits. And then you have the real guys, the proper tough opponents that you have to lock onto, and that's when you get this really awesome parrying mechanic where you're able to guard up to the right and to the left, being able to deflect certain moves, and then your enemy's able to do that as well, and then you're able to guard break them, then grapple them, do some amazing combos, do leaps from high ledges and just stab guys that are below you. The game in a 1v1 aspect looks crazy. Color me interested for For Honor. You've won me over in this trailer, wow. And it's coming out February 14th of next year. That February lineup. Next up, we had a couple of indie titles. We had the sequel to Grow Home, known as Grow Up. Very nice platformer. I never really got into Grow Home, sadly, because I just never got the chance to get it. But if you got Grow Home, you enjoyed it, Grow Up's the sequel, it's expanding it a little bit more, and it looks pretty cool. It's coming out in August, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Good stuff. Another indie that came out, and I liked this. Some people didn't like this, I personally did. Opening up in an 80s wrestling announcement style thing, you have like the tag team champions of game development, and they come out in this like lion skins, like onesie suits, coming out hyping the crowd, going, yeah, I'm the champs. Come out on stage, it's Trials of the Blood Dragon. I love Trials, I loved the Blood Dragon DLC from Far Cry. This is what happens when you make a baby, kids. This is the Baby Maker. And yo, it looks great. Hilarious 80s action. The trailer was pure hilarity. Classic 80s, 90s cartoon action flick with action figures and everything. There's on and off vehicle modes this time around with combat gunplay. It looks really cool, and guess what? It's out now on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I knew it was coming soon. I was not expecting it to just go, yo, after the so. It's available everywhere. Go nuts. It went down a bit for me because they were talking about the Assassin's Creed movie. Now, let me just say, I am looking forward to the Assassin's Creed movie, and I do plan on watching it because I watched the Warcraft movie. If you want to see my opinions on the Warcraft movie, by the way, I spoke about my opinions in our special E3 version of the VGU podcast, which you can check now on the site and on iTunes, so be sure to check that. And basically, the Assassin's Creed movie has to beat Warcraft for me. It has to be either on the same level or it has to beat it. So I have very high hopes. Now we talk Watch Dogs 2. Just to say quickly, I never really got in with Watch Dogs 1. It was a cool idea, but I was never dragged into it. And when Watch Dogs 1 came out, I was very disappointed. Disappointed in how it was presented, in how it was just shoved into people's faces, and how different it looked in comparison to what we saw from that big E3 reveal. But Watch Dogs 2 has changed my opinions, and we'll go through this and I'll explain why. So, first things first, they had a mini bit of a trailer that's trying to show off the cast this time around, and the hacker team this time around, known as DedSec, are kind of acting like a more vibrant, fun style of Anonymous, which I find quite interesting. That's an interesting idea indeed. And of course, you play as a new protagonist. He's fighting against the establishment like every good hacker should. And you dive right into some gameplay. You're profiling everyone, you can remote control cars as you're walking past them to see them go around. Co-op seems to be very easy, and the other thing I like, the protagonist this time around, in comparison to Watch Dogs 1, he has charisma. He actually has character. Well, the thing I also liked is that you also have this scouting drone that you can have this time around that can remote hack CCTV units and remote hack the same things that you can remote hack. Use that to scout the area, do some things before you get in there, and then when you get in there you can use your drone again in a ground form, kind of like a transformer, to go over to areas and hack intel whilst you're defending the area or taking out enemies that are causing an absolute muck of a place. So that's pretty cool. I am really enjoying what Watch Dogs 2 is bringing to the table. It's coming out on November 15th, PS4, PC, Xbox One, and the PS4 guys get 30-day exclusivity to DLC. And then afterwards you had a representative from Sony come out, and they basically said that they're working on a Watch Dogs movie? Why? Why are we talking about a Watch Dogs movie? Why? Why aren't we talking about a Rayman movie? Why aren't we talking about the Assassin's Creed movie was talked about? That's what we're looking forward to, because it's a movie that's out this year. You basically just came out and said, we're working on a Watch Dogs movie. That no one asked for! No one was asking for a Watch Dogs movie, nor was anyone expecting a Watch Dogs movie. And I think the crowd represented this well, because you can hear them and they basically sounded like this. There was like much rejoicing from Monty Python. I don't get it. Maybe it'll be good. It depends on the casting, the director, the producer, whoever's going to be behind it. I'm just not psyched. But Ubisoft ended the show really well. They showed off a brand new IP for a game known as Steep. And Steep is basically what I like to say is the next evolution of SSX. You've got flying suits, skiing, snowboarding, all molded into one in a nice multiplayer environment, which you can also play in single player, which is quite nice. And it's based around these awesome, really famous skiing and snowboarding locations from around the world, as you can drop it into different mountains and different areas, float around, and then as you're parachuting down, you can get out of your parachute, jump onto your skis or your snowboard or into your wingsuit, and then start just exploring. And as you're exploring, you can instantly mold together with your friends, start going on to challenges, doing races, or like trick missions or things along those lines. The game looks fun. It looks gorgeous as well, with the Arctic environments, the sun, the snow. It looks great, and it's coming out December of this year. And you can sign up for the beta right now on steepgame.com. Overall, the Ubisoft show was really impressive. I was quite surprised. And there you go, guys. Those are my opinions on the Ubisoft conference. What are your thoughts? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Keep your eyes out for more of our coverage of E3 throughout this week. And we'll be catching you next time for another edition of VGU Talks.